Hey folks, thank you for joining us for another exciting episode of YOML. This is the year of magical learning. Today we have reflection 204. I guess I'll just leave it to Chris to do his thing.
Yeah, this was a fun book. This is another Mary Roach book. Do you
Yeah.
remember the book Fuzz that we did a little bit
Yes,
ago?
yes,
The female Bill Bryson, or Bill Bryson is the male Mary Roach. This book is called Stiff, The Curious Life of Human Cadavers by Mary Roach. It's about exactly what it says in it. It's about human cadavers and what they've done, and the impact they've made in our lives for centuries, for research, for studying, for science, for testing diseases, for understanding why we died and doing autopsies and how the body dies basically and what happens when you die. Very, very detailed, super uber learning, Bill Bryson-esque style book where it's just learning on top of learning while they slowly take you through a journey that you never thought you could take, where you're having fun learning about human cadavers. So it was an interesting book. The first half of this reflection was just talking about Bill Bryson and Mary Roach style books, where it's almost like, the idea of being profoundly simple, clear and concise, and understanding what your message is. With a Mary Roach and Bill Bryson kind of book, it just, there is no clear message, but it's like, and it's just like learning on top of learning. I called it like, it's like an indulgence, when you eat like fettuccine Alfredo, or something like that, you shouldn't eat more than a couple times a year or whatever, but it's like so good and you just can't stop eating it. And you're like, look, I know this is not good for me. Like, I know I'm not really learning anything too much about it, but damn it, it feels good in the moment. And it's just like, it's like a fun little journey that you go on. You don't regret it afterwards, but you also know, like, I can't do this every day, like I can't, like, this is not something that it's an indulgence,
Good feel, huh?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm talking about with like a Bill Bryson book, right? Where
Right.
it's just so much learning packed into it. And it's hard to pick out like a message out of it
Need more
because,
room to pack it in
right,
after you
right.
read his book, because he's taking you. It's like, I mean, the title book said that like the history of nearly everything. It's like,
Right. But it goes to show you, actually, it's really interesting. When you get inundated with a lot of stuff, it's hard to pick out one thing that you can really anchor on to apply to your life, And that is actually the problem with these books. It's the opposite of a fiction book where you're struggling to find what is the essence of this fiction book, versus this is like, there's so much, like, my head's like going to explode. I can't figure out how to narrow my focus into what I can learn and apply from this book. You know what I mean? Either way, it was a fun, indulgent journey with Mary Roach, and I learned a lot about human cadavers. But if you ask me right now, if I could recall anything from this book, just like every Bill Bryson book, except for the ones that he does stories, I don't remember any of it. Like, I mean, there's nothing that I remember about human cadavers other than they're important to life. But that said, it's still, as I sat down the next day after finishing it and I was writing a reflection, what this book made me think about was the idea that the purpose never expires. Human cadavers, obviously we know we want to live a purpose-driven life while we're here, but as we've learned on this whole entire journey, purpose, it doesn't necessarily expire when you expire. Like there is a purpose to a cadaver. There's a purpose to life. There's a purpose to death. There's a purpose for the things that you can teach other people. There's a purpose for the stuff that you leave for other people. And it made me, of course, this took me down my normal rabbit hole of thinking about my daughter, right? Like, I mean, she was only here for such a short period of time, but like her purpose, what she taught me and what I learned from her and what we're learning together and what we're sharing with other people, that purpose continues on and on and on for forever and ever and ever, to the point in time where it's blended in my mind. Is she here or is she not now? And I don't really know anymore because she's become so important in my life. Of course, I know that she isn't physically here with me, but she definitely is here with me spiritually and purpose, helping me to aid my purpose, which will ultimately help to aid other people's purpose. And purpose really never expires, I guess, at the end of the day, is kind of what this book made me think about. Like, if you can find value in a cadaver, like you can find value in anything in this world, right? And it just, it's just a circle of life, I guess, if you will. And, it's just something to keep in mind, and like a more of a higher level perspective around the value that we bring to this world. It isn't just why we're here. It can continue for as long as we, I don't know. I don't know where we go, but it can continue for a very long time, maybe even indefinitely. I don't know. Our nutrients go back to the soil. Our carbon dioxide goes back to the air. Maybe that spurs on a new plant to grow. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of irrelevant how that purpose transforms into something else, I guess, but it does. And this was an interesting book to learn about and kind of open my eyes and remind myself of that fact. The question was, how does the memory of a loved one that are no longer with us influence you each day? I don't know if you want to answer that question or you want to just talk about the topic in general. I'd love to get your thoughts. I can't hear you. Am I on mute or something?
It got cut off for a second in my headphone. Yeah, it's the Bluetooth thing, but I heard you. So for me, I think it's hard to distinguish between your purpose and purpose in general, because I think when I'm talking about purpose, I'm talking about my purpose. And when I refer to purpose, I'm referring to each one of us as a purpose per our perspective. I think there is a purpose in everything, but for example, for the cadaver, the purpose of that person who died already, I mean, his purpose ended. It is the person that's using it, that's his or her purpose. To learn from what happened after we die, whatever. That's the purpose of the people that are still living. The purpose of your daughter, I think her purpose is done. It is the memory that you carry, and that's your purpose, not her purpose. Her purpose is done. She done her job.
Yeah, but it's not done if it still carries on. Like,
No,
like,
it's your purpose. You took her inspiration and you made it your purpose. I just want to make sure I understand that clearly, because in my mind, when you, like I said, you and I are born with a certain set of DNA. We are to express those DNA. But when we die, we die. I mean, it's just we gone, right? Whoever is living and see that as an inspiration and take on that becomes your purpose. You took on that purpose. It's not hers no more. She's done her job. She has lived her purpose. So that's what I'm saying is I'm kind of a little bit not 100% with you on this purpose, is because to me, purpose is individualized, meaning that you find purpose because it is your perspective. It is your gene that needs expressed. You are a donkey in the shed, right? If you're not a donkey, if you are a little, toolbox in the shed, then, you want to be in the shed. It has nothing to do with, okay, there is a purpose that the donkey, once he die, right, he doesn't get the job anymore. He has another purpose. No, he doesn't have a purpose. A beaver must dam, right? Once he die, well, he doesn't need a dam anymore. There's no purpose. But the thing is, we other people can use that as a lesson to learn, to understand what it is that we need to do to reflect our true purpose. So the thing is, I don't want to say that your daughter is not living with you. She is, because you carry that on, because you chose that. She showed you the true purpose of your life. So you basically look at her inspirations and truly reflect it on yourself and say, well, I wasn't damning, or I wasn't doing the lion pride thingy in the past, right? I was doing the hustling and bustling and doing the grind and eating the frog, right? But now you say, well, I'm a lion or whatever, and then you want to be true to that. And so she shows you your true self. She shows you who you're supposed to be. I carry that on with me to remind me this is who I'm supposed to be. And I have this amazing daughter to be thankful for. And like I say, I'm not taking anything away from her memory, but she has done her job. She's done her purpose. She fight the good fight.
She did her
but then
job.
this is your purpose.
I don't know.
Purpose is to carry on your purpose is live for
her doctors, she could have inspired them to be one step closer to curing neck for other babies or something like that, right? Like, she could have inspired.
But that's their purpose, not her purpose. I mean,
well,
I want to
make
sure people understand, because if I tell you that, hey, you are the result of your gene expression, and when you say somebody has completely passed on and they see her purpose, to me, it's
your video just disappeared. There you go. I can't hear you now, I guess. I can't hear you. No, I still can't hear you. No. Is your Bluetooth on? Mm-mm. It's the only way I can get True to shut up.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So continue what we're saying.
I was going to say, in the forest, when a tree dies, they literally are become nutrients and food for their offspring in the soil. And then they also free up light for other trees to grow and thrive and survive at the top of the canopy. And there is a purpose in their passing, and then they continue on to nourish other people, whether they know it or they don't. I really do think that your purpose just evolves. Amelia's purpose is still Amelia's purpose. I agree with that. Her purpose is not my purpose. I can learn from her purpose and it can inspire my own purpose, but like her purpose is still here. I don't know what it is, and I don't know how it's transformed and how it manifests itself, but I truly believe that, like, once your living purpose is expired, then your after living purpose begins. But I don't know what that is, because I've never experienced that, and I won't know what that is until I do get a chance to experience that. We'll never know that kind of stuff. But like, I truly do believe that she's still doing what she's supposed to be doing in this world, and she is still here with in whatever way that she is. I really do believe that. I can't prove it. There's no science behind it. There's no logic behind it. All I know is I believe that happens for everybody, for every living entity in this world. I feel like they continue on in just a new path. That purpose continues, whatever that is. I don't know how it transforms, but they're still doing it.
But then again, that's the point I'm trying to make, is that I'm doing what I want to do because my physical genetics is require me to do certain things, and I must do them to feel good. But the
Sure.
moment I'm dead, you can throw me into the ocean, you can put me into the fire and burn me up. I mean, I don't feel anything, right? My purpose is done. And yes, if you're talking about a tree or cadaver, right? They have usage. In this sense, I'm looking at this from the universal sense, right? Like as a floating third party watching a spectator. The purpose is for someone else's to use. That means that someone else is using you for their purpose. Because for me, like I said, I want to clarify what I mean by purpose. Purpose meaning you're doing things that is aligning with who you are supposed to be. I mean, to be a cadaver, right? A cadaver, yeah, you can use it for scientific research, but you don't exist on Earth to be a cadaver to advance scientific research. To me, even think about that, it doesn't make sense. Because yeah, it's a side product. Like if I'm dead and I don't mind you cut me up and figuring out why I die and what kind of disease I have and learn from it. But from my perspective, I don't think it has anything to do with how I was made, right? If I'm made to be honest, or I was a thief when I'm a cadaver, I'm a cadaver. It's not going to change how I behave. So that's what I'm saying is when we are defining the word purpose, right? To me, I'm thinking is the purpose aligned to who you're supposed to be, who you need to be, versus what you can be used for. You see
I mean,
a tree can die and be used to, be nutrients for the
it's
other trees,
it's
but it's
it's
other.
not it's not what they're that is a part of their purpose, is what I'm trying to say. It's like that purpose continues on, whether so
But then back
I
in
think
the
of
ancient days, people don't use cadaver to learn anything. I doubt that they do.
I would doubt that they didn't. I mean, why would you not? Like, if somebody died of some like
I mean,
disease or something
I
like
mean, the
that, like,
thing is, back in the ancient days, before let's say more than 10,000 years ago, you would think that people would cut you up and study you, or maybe eat you, right? They probably eat you. Say, hey, this is meat. I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat this person. until people start dying of disease, and then they start burying people, right? This is called you learn and evolve through the learning, through the things that happen to you, the atomic bomb that comes to your way. But as far as you think about, like, okay, if you say the cadaver's purpose, right, is to give people more advanced research and studying and whatever, well, that probably didn't happen until the last 3,000, 5,000. I mean,
I
ever
mean,
reach
yeah, I mean,
10,000 years.
I'm not. That's not really what I'm talking about. I was just talking about that. That's just like one step of an example that there is purpose in other ways in this world. When I think of purpose, maybe this will help with aligning on what we think purpose is. So for me, like I think
I
purpose
mean,
is
the thing is, I don't like the fact that my purpose is to be a battery for the society to use me in however way they want. To me, I abhor that image.
yeah. I mean, to your point, it's not you anymore.
But that's what I'm saying. I have a purpose. My purpose is to be a obedient citizen and do the labor work for the society to be whatever advancement of human society, whatever. My job is to contribute to society as if I'm this battery to, just like the Matrix, right? The humans, like, they put into this, their purpose is to be this battery for the machines. So they have a purpose in that world. And to me, thinking that image, it just terrifies.
Okay, so when I think of purpose, I think of a combination and maybe you could say manifestation, like a combination that leads to a manifestation of your values, right? And that ultimately is expressed as something that we call purpose. Like it
But
all
that's
is
a
coming
that's the
together.
question is, how does purpose is,
Well, purpose. That's what I'm saying. Is I
how do
think
you
purpose
determine purpose?
I think purpose is a combination of your values plus your actions, like, and that equals
But your
purpose.
cadaver has no actions.
But it does, like, and also, like, it's decomposing is an action. Like, I mean, that is absolutely an action.
That's the purpose of Mother Nature. Mother Nature recycle. That's her
Well,
purpose.
the purpose of Mother Nature is to have us live too. So I mean, like, then you're saying, well, we're just doing what we're supposed to right now,
But
and
I'm
like that's
saying
our
is,
purpose.
back to what I'm saying is, we have to define what it is mean to have purpose. Is it to have usage?
No, I think having well, purpose is an abstract concept in general, right? So it can be whatever you
So
want
that's
it
what
to
I'm
be.
saying. It's a purpose to me. Purpose to me. Okay, a purpose has to have an owner, because my purpose
No,
is
I don't think so.
different from your purpose.
No, I don't think so, because you can have the purpose of an entity. Like, the United States of America has a purpose. The Catholic Church has a purpose.
Like I say, an owner.
No,
United
because
States is an owner. The Catholic Church is an owner. Mother
no, they're
Nature
not.
is an
No.
owner.
The Catholic Church, that's a body of people, but it's also not one person. It's not one entity.
Have to be. I mean, it has to belong to a perspective or a
It,
certain belief.
it's
That
a
means
collection of values. Is what a purpose is. It's a
no.
collection of it's
I
a
think
collection of
we are
values.
contradicting ourselves if we agree to the fact that purpose could be anything. Because of all the time I've been saying, your purpose is who you are, and now I'm saying, hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. I mean, you have a purpose.
No, it does. No, they both. I think they're both the same. I think this is what I'm trying to say. It carries through. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're here or whether you're not. That purpose is a through line. Like, your purpose will always be your purpose. I don't know how it evolves and grows with you while you're not physically here, but I think Amelia's purpose is
That's the
still
thing
living her purpose.
is, you're telling me something you don't know how to explain. To me, that's
No,
still up for debate.
100% debate. It is 100% up
Still
for debate.
understand
Yeah.
how a purpose doesn't have because when you look from a perspective, there has to be from one person looking out or from one entity looking out, right? Looking at something, that's called a perspective,
Mhm.
right? Perspective means looking out, but that means somebody has to be looking, has to be the looking. So to me, a purpose, right? So you and I don't have the same purpose. Why?
We're not the same person.
But we are still human.
There
We
are
can both
certain
be
things
cadaver.
there are certain things that we share in common, that, like, I think there's a lot of I think our purpose is multifaceted. I mean, you're talking about an individual unique defined purpose, but I mean, as a collective, as humans, I think we
Right,
also
because human is also from that perspective, perspective of humanity,
Mhm.
from the perspective of the whole country, from the perspective of a whole religion, right? That's still an owner. An owner. I mean, I'm an owner is not a person. Don't have to be a person. It could be a person. It could be a whole company. It could be a whole tribe. It could be a whole whatever. It could be Mother Nature. Mother Nature isn't a person. It isn't even an entity. But from the Mother Nature's perspective, she is the owner of the cycles of things. Like
Sure.
her purpose is cycle stuff. So when I say an owner, that means like it has to have some kind of point of reference.
I don't know. It's tough to say. So I hear what you're saying, and I feel like let's use the United States. If the United States went away tomorrow, there would be a whole lot of people that still believed in freedom and the shared values that made up,
But
life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
that's their purpose. That's the
But
new. Let's say Canada, right? Canada, right? They still believe in freedom because they saw United States and they saw the freedom and they are inspired to acquire that purpose. So
right,
it's Canada's purpose. It's not United States' purpose anymore. If United States doesn't exist anymore, therefore it isn't United States' purpose. It is Canada's purpose to be like the United States, to have what they thought was good that the United States had, which is freedom, right? And so to me, the perspective has to carry on from the person looking. You have to have the eye to look through the the spyglass. You can't have a spyglass while looking through. So just like
yeah, but everybody builds on everybody, whether it's Greeks and Romans, and then
it doesn't matter. But
Samaria,
that's my point,
and
though. That's my point.
every.
Right. What I do, right? You say I say I'm a beaver. When I'm alive, I want to be in the river where I can build my dam. When I'm dead, throw me into the icy river. I don't fucking care.
I'm not saying that your purpose manifests itself with the same actions, but I do think that your purpose continues.
Well, how so?
I don't know. This is the most abstract of abstract concepts ever. I mean, this is something I've been writing about purpose for years now. And I mean, I can't tell you, like, I can tell you what purpose feels like today, and we can say things like concrete
The thing
examples
is,
like a
there's
beaver.
no debate,
I,
right?
I don't,
There can't be any discussion
I know
if
how I
you
feel.
if you
I
believe something. But the only thing I can say is, okay, Chris, I cannot add on to anything that you said because you didn't give me anything to.
You're not wrong about that. I mean, this is,
I mean, the only thing I can do is accept what you feel. I said,
I agree. This is not one of the most concrete examples that I can give anybody. All I can say is I gave some examples in here of, Amelia's doctor taking one tiny step toward understanding the disease of neck and helping other babies someday. Or Amelia
but
trying to
that's
help
the
me to
thing. It
see.
is purpose. They're using Amelia's as a stepping stone to the next phase, right?
Right.
Amelia's, the ability to study her is just merely a, to me, a coincidence.
I disagree.
You're telling me that she was born with the duty to die early
No,
so
I
that
don't
a
say that.
doctor can examine her and be more
I'm not
advanced.
saying
To
that.
me,
I'm
I feel angry.
yeah,
I feel
not saying that.
angry.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
but logically, that's what you're saying.
No, I'm saying that whatever shiny shining purpose that she displayed in her time still stays when she's not here. Same thing with the United States. Whether the United States disappears tomorrow, like if you're going back to that example, it still existed and it still will live. The values that they shared with this world will carry on, and it will continue to help persuade, inspire, and
I mean,
and
dinosaurs, where are they? What's the purpose? To make oil? But the thing is, we have no idea. Like you're talking about the ancient
I don't
civilization
know. Yeah,
beyond the thing that we are supposed to study, like the Mayan and the Aztec, whatever. Beyond them, right? We have no fucking clue. You can't say the
I
United
agree.
States is going to persist and their purpose is going to continue. How does it continue? The only way I see is you inspire the purpose to be taken on as a flame. Like the torch is passing on and the flame lives in you. So it's your purpose, Chris, that you carry on Amelia's inspirations.
In this life
Canada,
now,
Mexico, or what other country wants to carry on the freedom that the United States has brought forth, right? Then it carries on because it lives in a new purpose, in a new perspective, in a new owner. To me, purpose has to have an owner. An owner is perspective. Perspective means that it is from that person's point of view or entity's point of view This is how we like things to be done and how we feel when we do it that way.
But it still exists though, true? Like, I mean, like it doesn't matter whether it's like no one owned it is the point. I mean, maybe
No,
that is
you
the
own
case.
your purpose. You own
Ah,
your purpose.
but do you like, I mean, like, you know, if I'm just
Yes, you
gonna pass it
do.
on to somebody else,
Yes, you
I own
do.
it, I
No,
own it for the
no,
time
no,
that I'm here, is what you're saying, and that's fine. But like, and then it's my duty to keep the flame growing and pass
no.
it on to
It's
somebody
not.
else, which
It's up
it's
to
all
you to
it's
do whatever you want.
call whatever the name you want to call it is that carries the torch next. It's still being built the foundation of a lot of people that have come before, you know, to be able to get to that point in time. It
To
still
me,
continues.
that isn't a good scenario, a case example to say, you're supposed to do certain things, you're supposed to pass on. You're not supposed to do anything.
I said, when you, if you are doing that, you're just one step link in the chain of purpose, not your purpose.
I don't think there's a purpose. I mean, what we talking about like random events. We're talking about Black Swan. We're talking about atomic bombs, right? Where did it come from? Is that purpose for atomic bomb? For the atomic bomb that you
I
have,
don't
was that a
know.
purpose?
No, this is the
I mean,
point.
is
Is like,
it what's the purpose of the turkey in this the 1001 day? You telling me there's a
I don't know.
purpose for every single thing, right? And I
Hmm?
agree to the point that you have a purpose to do things that makes you feel like you are who you supposed to be. If you are a donkey, you have a certain physical trait that wants to gallop in the field. Therefore, you cannot be cooped up in a shed. Therefore, you want to do the activity that give you the most positive feedback for you and yourself. To me, that's purpose in itself. It ends and of itself. It's not for me. My
In this
purpose,
life, in this life,
is my
as we know it.
purpose, right? My purpose is my purpose. If I happen to come across your purpose and it happens to align, then we basically use each other's purpose to kind of leverage each other up. Because like I say, you can only live your life. I cannot live your life for you. I can tell you, hey Chris, your purpose is sit in a corner and code for like 18 hours a day, right? I can't tell you that because you're not me, right? And no one can tell you, hey, you should do this, you should do that, because even if it's your mother or your closest person in your family, it doesn't matter. You still have to live your life. If you get sick, you still have to do the pain. They cannot take the pain away from you. So for me, purpose is that particular definition. Has nothing to do with I'm have the ability to go and be a good contribution to society. I mean, I don't have to do that, and I want to because maybe in my DNA that wants to give something to society because it makes me feel good. But I don't have to do it. I mean, as far as if I wouldn't in essence has no control over how I feel, then to me, like put me anywhere, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't feel anything. And so if you say that if that's a purpose, then it clashes with how I define or how we had defined purposes thus far for the longest time. Because I'm saying a beaver must dam. I mean, the thing is that's purpose. And now you tell me a beaver
No,
don't have to dam and still have a purpose. And if you
no, I didn't
throw
say that. I didn't say
by
that.
logic, that's
I
what
said
you think.
once the beaver stops damming, the day that the beaver can no longer dam, that does not mean that the beaver no longer has a purpose.
Explain to me, how is that?
I don't know.
Then you cannot claim it. Put a pin on it and say, well, this is what I gotta explore, and I'll come back and claim it later. You
Yes,
cannot claim it unless you have
that's fair.
a
That
to.
is fair.
You can't
I
say
do not.
okay, I really believe in my heart, right? The only thing I can do is say, okay, Chris, if you believe it, but I still don't understand it, and you can't explain it, then okay. But if we're still at a standstill, we're still at a stalemate because I still don't know, and you still don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the fun of it, right? Like, you know, it's one of our core values. We don't know shit. We're trying to figure it out, you know.
Figured out. The thing is, you cannot claim something,
I agree.
and we have to at least have some guesses.
I like that's one of the ultimate mysteries of this world, right? Is what happens when we're no longer here. So I don't know that I'll ever know, but you know, I mean, I can certainly keep exploring and trying to figure out why I feel like this. Like I feel like she's still here. Like, you know, I don't know
And
why.
that's fine. It has nothing to do with
Still
her.
doing
It
what
does
she's
that's
doing,
something with
you
you.
know.
You are the
But
one who feels it. She doesn't feel anything.
I don't know that. I mean, I really don't.
We don't know that.
I can't definitively say that like there isn't a connection maybe
Right,
not,
because
not
right now
physically.
you say I don't know something, I believe in this way, and I say,
Right.
well, I still don't understand, and I may not believe in that way.
Believes the wrong word. I feel it. I don't know how to just, I don't know why I feel that. And I don't know if what I feel is wrong, but we talk about this stuff all the time. It's like running uphill or running downhill. If you feel something, you're probably going in the right direction. And there's probably a reason for it. And you just haven't figured it out yet. But go
Exactly,
at
figure it out yet, but
right.
you
Yeah.
can't say, hey, I claim this because I feel so, right?
I don't
I
disagree with that.
feel it. I feel
Fair
it deep in my heart,
enough. I mean,
from
if
the
that's a
bottom of from the bottom of my
yeah.
foot to the top of my head. I
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you can't claim it
I
because I
can't
can't.
I
There's
no
nothing
no
I
no
can
it's not
say.
I claim it.
There's
I
nothing
can't.
I can say to you if you say that. The only thing I can say is okay.
Well, you're right. Like, and I actually, it's funny you bring that up because, like, I used to, as a kid, like my ultimate,
Well, at least I'm a millionaire
the ultimate, right, right, yeah,
because
right.
I'm in it.
Well, I mean, sure. I mean, what is it? But you could claim. I mean, hell, like this world,
I
you
need to
can
send you a
pick any,
bill.
yeah, you can pick anything you want, right? No, when I was a kid, the ultimate frustration that I used to have when I was like a teenager and really into my 20s, like mid 20s or something like that. My mother and grandmother are like very devout Catholics, right? And I went to a Catholic grade school, I went to a Catholic high school, and my dad had to marry in order to marry my mom. My mom made him convert from, I don't know, I think he was a Methodist or something like that. But he didn't care. He didn't really practice it anyway, but he converted to Catholicism to marry my mom. And my mom is very serious about this stuff, right? And it resulted in my dad is more of a likes to poke holes in theories and is a little bit more similar to me in this kind of regard, likes to call people out, when like what you're doing right now, going, well, you know, I hear you, but like doesn't make any sense to me. I can't understand it. So I'm going to go and poke holes into that protective shield of that you call faith, right? Like, and this was the word that drove me nuts as a child because my mom and my dad would fight all the time about faith, right? And my dad would try to poke holes in it. My mom would say, well, you know what? I just have faith. Like, it was the ultimate conversation stopper because you're like, well, I can't argue with that. There is no argument. If you tell me that's how you feel, then you're like, well, nobody can argue with that. And that's actually why religion has survived. You can't argue with something that's a complete unknown that no one knows, right? You either believe it or you don't, and you can keep exploring it if you want to, but that's where the rubber, because I normally try to be pretty concrete when I'm giving an example about something. For whatever reason, I can't tell you why I feel yet, like at least yet. I can't tell you why I feel like this. The purpose evolves and keeps going, and that person retains that, and it manifests itself a little bit differently, but that purpose goes on, and I don't know why. I just have faith that that's how I feel inside, that she is still doing her thing, and I think that we all do our thing.
If you went to sleep and did not wake up, okay, question would be, would Amelia's purpose still continues?
Yes.
In what way?
I don't know.
Come on. I cannot say anything other than okay.
Right. Well, because I mean, I can't argue. Like, that's the other thing of faith. Like, nobody knows, right? Like, there is no answer. There is no argument that can be had. You can try to poke as many holes as you want to, but you're poking holes into somebody that doesn't know any of the answers anyway, right? And you're like, well, I don't know the answer. You can challenge me all day long on it. I don't know the answer. So whatever you say, you could be right. I mean, but I don't know.
But that's the only thing I can say is okay. There's no sense in saying something because it has no, connections to what we're saying. Because I feel that way. Well,
yeah.
How do I even say anything that makes sense?
Like you don't. It's like, what's the point of life? Like, I don't know. I mean, we can guess at it, like, but like, I don't know. Like, I mean, these are questions that have no answers. Like, and it really just comes down to how you feel or you don't feel. I mean, in all seriousness, and I don't know why I feel very connected through this whole journey. I've told you this before. Like, I mean, I feel very connected to all things, a lot more so than I did before this journey began.
To the things that was ignored by you before.
I mean, that absolutely is the case.
So it was always there before. It just you ignored it because you had other focus. Like,
I was trying to focus on rationality and reason and coming up with understandings as to why this stuff is.
I mean, the thing is, if you walk through the garden, right, or you went through the palace and you're holding a spoon, you didn't see any grandeur of the palace. This is exactly what the story is talking about.
Mhm.
You didn't focus and therefore you didn't see it. If you walk through the garden and you didn't smell anything, it's because you did not keen your senses on the
Right.
aroma of the roses that are in the garden. You just maybe you need to talk to somebody and you run across the garden. But my question would be, was the aroma there when you crossed? You did not smell it.
If I
Doesn't
didn't
mean it
smell, then
wasn't
no.
there.
Well, it's
For
true.
you to
Exactly.
be
Yeah.
attuned to things.
I totally agree with that statement. It reminds me of that book. Did you ever read that book, My Stroke of Insight? I think you would love that book. Your left is a creative. So like the more abstract part of your brain. That's your
Side.
right is like the abstract, like art, kind of,
Right.
connected, kind of space. And the left
You
is
know
your
what? You know how I kind of do the connection because most people are right-handed, so most of their
right.
logic comes from the left side to control the right. On the right side controls the left, and the left doesn't do too much thing because it's reserved for creativity.
Fair enough. Yeah. So that makes sense. She had a stroke in her left side of her brain, and it affected her ability to speak, her ability to have rational thought. She had none of that. But what she did have was all of her right side. And she just felt like she was floating through time and space for years. She was just like, I just exist. Like, I'm here. That connection to a bigger world exists with us. It's just that we spend so much time trying to find the logic and the rationality with our left. We are conditioned very much so in this world to be left brain thinking at almost all times. If there is no logic to it, then we just
Right.
discount something as, well, this can't possibly be, there's no logic to it. But what I'm kind of saying is, and this is why a lot of people do ayahuasca and psilocybin and mushrooms and stuff like that, because it disconnects it turns your logic off.
You have the gush from the fire hydrant, right? It coming out of the hose. It's just coming out.
Right.
You don't notice the dripping that is in the sink. You
Yeah.
just don't because until you shut off the fire hydrant, then you notice the dripping in the sink. So to me, when that fire hydrant was gushing out those water, like massive amount of water, the dripping in the sink still happens. It's just that you didn't notice it. So the thing is, our brains, our left side is controlling the motor, controlling a lot of things we see, a lot of the thing that we do, right? It is so
Math, logic,
dominant,
science.
like the fire hydrant. Like you open it, it gush out, and
Right.
you can there's no way you can like see the dripping of another faucet like nearby. This is not possible, right?
Right.
And so I think whenever you can shut down the dominant, whatever that's distracting you the most, because you feel like, oh, it's hot or it's cold or it's heavy or it's this or it's humid, because those are dominant. It's always like blasting your neurons with these
Yeah.
signals, right? Any other signals is basically completely over, it's masked over, so you can't hear it. The moment you shut down, then you can hear that. Just like when you have these mushroom, right? They actually shuts down your movement, your motor, right? On because the thing is, when you're in the dream state, you feel like you're floating because your sensors, your signal is not receiving the signal from your hands. There's gravity, right? That's why you feel like you're floating
Mhm.
because those sensor is being blocked, and then it allows the right brain, the creative part of your brain, to become more focused. And
So
this is
are
what.
you agreeing with me now? I guess,
But I
is it?
agree with
Yeah.
you in terms of but not for purpose.
I was gonna say, did I somehow magically talk you into this one? And
No,
then
no, I
and
still
then
don't understand purpose.
you were getting close to what I was saying. Is like there's this beyond that connects us all for all time and space that I don't know how it just does. Like I can't explain it because it's not explainable. Like the whole point is it's not explainable. There is no logic to it. Like there is no rationality to it. There is no science to it. There
But
is no
I still don't can connect between what you just say and the purpose that continues on
because
when you're not.
purpose is abstract. Purpose is the way that you connect all things together. Like purpose is how
That's what I'm
like
saying
the
is
dead and the living and
when
everything
you
all together.
when you die and you return to dust, right? In this sense, you're saying that you still have purpose even though you're in dust because you're part
Yeah,
of the universal, whatever
it just evolves.
collective,
Uh,
right?
sure.
The universal collective. So to me, that purpose, like I don't know it, I don't understand it, right?
I don't either.
Whether you feel it or whether I feel it, I still don't know. I don't know.
I don't either. Like,
But so if you don't know, how can you say that's purpose? I
the
don't have
word
to
to describe
deny
this.
that I think there
Actually,
is some kind of collective like consciousness, but to say that becomes your purpose, where do you draw the connection?
that's a great point, and that's something that I can't argue with. Maybe there is no word that can describe what I'm describing, or what I'm thinking, because words are really left brain thinking for the most part. I mean, I don't know. That's a good point.
You can call it something else. Like I said, there's not a word for it, but purpose, I don't think is it the right word. And if you
That's
use the
fair.
word purpose and it's confusing me with what I know and believe, you just basically rip the rug from under my foot. I don't know how to stand.
So I just went back to look at my notes really fast about my stroke of insight. She said she remembered how she felt being in the presence of others when she was in a coma. She couldn't speak or make any sense of it, but she could feel the energy. Like, she could literally feel the energy of the people around her. She knew when, like, a certain nurse was a dick or when they were kind. She knew, she could sense the energy in the world because that's all that she could feel. She couldn't make words out of it. She could just feel. Like, it was literally a
Okay,
feeling.
I don't think that's far-fetched, and I
Right.
may be inclined to believe it. And I think there are ways for us to be able to do that because when we are normal, like everybody else, our dominant sensors or sensories are, the hear, touch, right? And the
Mhm.
see. We see most of it. But there are like maybe like we're talking about 60% vision, 30% hearing, and then 9% touch,
Mhm.
right? And there's like 1% with bunch of other minuscule aura of different things that you can pick up the brainwaves on. You can pick up brainwaves as well, right? And you can
Mhm.
feel somebody's, right? I mean, let's say you listen to a song in a foreign language. Do you feel any emotion depending on the kind of song that was sung to you?
In a foreign language, yes, it depends on the cadence, the momentum, the
So there is more
the
than one
rhythm.
way. There's more than the five senses for us to understand our world. It's just that, like I say, when you turn on the fire hydrant, you don't see the drip. But when you shut off the fire hydrant, you hear the drips. And so
I,
those sensory that you have that was so small, it starts to be the only thing that you can use to take the inputs into what you can analyze. And I think you can do that. I am inclined to believe that it's possible. But like I say, still doesn't connect to word purpose.
I agree. I was going to say the other thing that as I'm looking back through these notes, her entire concept of self completely shifted for years of her life, and she stopped thinking in language and just started thinking in the moment and an attachment to an eternal flow. She called herself fluid. Like, literally, she was like, I just felt like I was fluid at all times. And actually, as she got back into her language and logic being slowly retrained over like an 8-year period of time when she was recovering from the stroke, she was
you
like,
you lose
I
you
missed.
lose it because you turn on
Yeah,
the fire hydrant again.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
to
And she,
me, when you have this physical need, you are basically constraining yourself, you shackle yourself to this world. If
agreed.
you remove yourself from the physical world, right, you feel more free because most of you are essentially what you think. So if you, because then for most of us, right, we are hungry, we want this, we
Right.
want that because our body is all constantly nagging at us, do this to do that, right? That's what I'm saying. Your purpose has to kind of satisfy this physical monster. Your body aches, right? Your body hurt. Your body get tired, right? Your body wants to eat, wants to nourish itself or whatever. It constantly, but the moment that these guys are not bugging you anymore, then you can be yourself. So when we're talking about like peace of mind, we don't actually about talking about peace of mind. We talking about peace from mind.
She
And so for
she
me,
said, she said that too. I mean, it was no. I mean, that's really good. I'm that's it's funny. She said the exact same thing. It's like I felt like I was finally like
and
could turn the
that's a kind of
liberated from her body is what she called it.
state that you want to be in. And to
No,
me,
maybe not always. Like, I mean, there is a balance is important, right? Like, but
well, the
I think
thing is, like I
understanding
say, it goes down to what you are and how you received your world and yourself. Because if you
Yeah.
perceive yourself to be something different, then you have a different drive. You drive to do something else. Because,
It's
like I say, to other people, they cannot have what I want because it will drive them insane. I mean, I can just take me and you, for example. If you take my life for a while, you're going to go insane because for me, is I like to be 80% in solitude there, and you
yeah.
have to talk to people
I
because
don't have to talk to people. I like to be around people. I don't know that I need to talk to them, but like,
well, yeah,
yeah,
my point is the same. I mean,
yeah,
regardless what kind of pose you're trying to poke, my point's the
right,
same
yeah.
because that's my genetic makeup. That's my outlook on how I see myself and how I receive positive emotion. For me, I go out for an hour. I go back home and I sit by myself. I can do nothing better than anybody else because, but for other people, they cannot do nothing.
No, I mean,
Like they have to.
I struggle with doing nothing for sure. That is really hard for me to do nothing. Like if I'm doing nothing, actually, I
That
like
means
going like a downward
that
spiral when I
means
do
that if
nothing.
you
You
and
know?
I were stuck on a desert island, each on by ourselves, I probably last longer than you.
No, that's not true. I would just find shit to do every day. Like, I mean, I would go,
By
run around the
yourself,
beach. Yeah, I'd
no,
go run around the beach.
no,
I'd
no.
yeah,
You get bored.
no, I would literally just go find stuff to do all day long. Like, I mean, I like to do stuff. Like,
But
I
you're
would just,
still missing part of who you are. Is this person
I always have,
you're gonna talk to the coconut?
have the connected, brain now to
Okay,
be
well
able to.
maybe you have a hack, but it's the same thing.
That's not a hack.
You are still living a purpose, even though you are by yourself. But that's the same activity that would makes you, a person that feel fulfilled.
Yeah, no, it helps me to connect to the broader humanity and all things whenever I do that stuff. Honestly, I don't ever feel alone, even when I'm alone anymore. And I mean that sincerely. Like I mean, it's not like I have voices in my head or something like that, but I feel like I'm very connected.
What if that was you to be alone before you had your atomic?
Oh,
How would
it was torture. I mean, like it's not like I mean I don't disagree. I'm saying this is something that Amelia and I have learned together, through this journey. Like in my opinion.
we have a certain, I guess, affinity toward different activities just
Yeah,
because we are built differently.
yeah, I agree with that. I think it's probably a good time to put a pin on this one, but I'm pretty impressed. That turned into a pretty serious conversation. I don't know where that one came from, but that was fun. You should really read. I'm highly recommending you to read My Struggle
Okay.
of Insight. I really got a lot out of that because it was great to kind of, I don't know, there was something about it that just connected a lot of dots for me personally of how life works. It was really interesting. I
Okay,
feel
I'll
like,
check it out. I'll probably
yeah,
download it tonight.
awesome. All right. Well, I feel like that's a good place to stop for the night. That was fun though. That was a fun conversation though.
Sure, it's always fun.
Yeah,
It's always
yeah.
fun to discover. Like I said, I just need to try to understand.
Well, I think my summary of this one is like there is no language that can describe what I was trying to describe, which is kind of the
And
point.
I can agree with that.
Right.
I can
Right.
certainly respect that. But that's what I'm saying is, the language is not exist. The word doesn't exist for what you want to pen it. So you can't take something else in its place.
It
And
reminds
to
me of
me, that caused a confusion in my head
it
for
does.
a bit.
Well, actually, I was literally just writing about this today. I told you about the tappers and listeners. Did I tell you about that? The Made to Stick book that I just read. There was a Stanford study where they called it tappers and listeners, and they asked people to they gave them a song like the Star Spangled Band birthday, and they said you have to tap it on like a table or something like that. The song Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Like tap it
Mhm.
out so they can only hear the taps, right? And then there was somebody that would come in the room, they would listen and they would ask both of them, like, how do you, I don't know where you went. Can you hear me? Oh, there you go. They would ask the person that was tapping after they gave them the song, like, what do you think the percentage of the people are going to get the song right after you do the tapping? Their answer was?
No, I forgot.
Yes. How many people do you think, if I said tap happy birthday to you on a table and then just somebody would come in, how many people do you think would get that out of 100?
I would say 80%.
80%. Do you know what the actual answer was? 2.5%. No, no joke. I mean, out of they did it 100 50 times or something like that. It was like it was only 3 people got it right. The tapping, only 3 listeners got the tapping song right. And this goes back to what you were just saying. Is like, and this is what I was writing about this morning. Is like I can't hear your song, right? Like you can't hear my song that's in my head of what I'm feeling, and like I can feel like what I'm saying to you when I talk about Amelia, but I can't express it in a way that in a song that or any
Right. So it's
understand.
a loss of information once you
Yeah,
transfer through a medium that is not perfect.
exactly. Or
Because
in this case, doesn't exist. Maybe I mean, like I don't.
well, that's not perfect because
Yeah,
you have
right.
to trim it. It's a loss, right? It's a loss of information when you transfer it. And so when you
Right.
transfer it, because the conduit using through language is constraining, therefore whatever else doesn't fit get cut out. And so when it came through purpose. What the hell is
Right.
purpose?
Well, you are very right. I think we should write that one down officially as a truism. This didn't technically come from you, but I mean, you can use it, I guess. Next time I'm saying something or you're saying something and I don't understand it, I'm just gonna be like, I can't hear your song, man. I don't know what tune's going on in your head. You need to do a better job of using language to explain this, or give me some concrete examples of what the fuck you're talking about, because I cannot hear what's going on in your head right now.
You got to give them more clues. You can't just say,
Yeah,
it's faith.
yeah. Is
Well,
what
what else besides faith? Can you give me something else?
Nope,
Give me another clue.
that's the ultimate conversation ender. It's like, well, I have faith, man. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's call it a night. That was fun. All right, we'll see you all tomorrow, and thanks for joining.
All right. Good night.